So what happened was,
picture up on
Andrew, what year did you start with us?
I've been licensed since 2003.
So Andrew came to us in 2003, and but I've known Andrew since he was a kid. Known him since he was, because Andrew's mom and I and my wife went to high school together. Andrew's dad and I used to chum around in high school. He wasn't from the same high school. Actually, if the truth be known, I introduced his dad to his mom. You know, I introduced his dad to his mom. So.
What we don't know is whether or not he dated my mom first.
No.
Nobody's willing to admit to that one way or the other.
No. Well, actually, his mom. Here's the funny thing. I mean, he's revealing the family jokes now. So the family jokes are, his mom. I know that she's actually had come across her lips a couple times. She goes, I can't believe it. I've got a son who's kind of wired like Ray. You know, comes out with stuff like Ray. And she's like, how did that happen? You know, it's like. Anyhow, Andrew, I've known him since he was a little kid growing up, but never, you know, I was in real estate. You never think that somebody you know, some family, friend or whatever, is going to get into the business, but he phones me up when he was in college, and he goes, Ray, I met this girl up in Fort St. John, and I want to, you know, in the summer, I want to come up and date her and see her, and I'm going to work up there. Can I stay with you? So he stays with us for the summer, and all through that summer, he's watching me. You know, that was probably, in that summer, I was probably doing,
It was 2000.
It was in 2000? Was summer 2000?
Yeah, it was about
okay.
2000 or 2000. Yeah, 2000.
So summer 2000, I'd already dialed my business back, and I probably only was going to do 100 deals that year. I just come off doing, you know, 140 some deals. So he thinks I was crazy, and I try to explain to him, no, I was relaxed then. I was off the 150 deals a year. I was down to what, 100. I totally manageable. And who knows that it had some kind of an impression on them doing this real estate stuff. And a few years later, lo and behold, he gets licensed, came to work with us, and he joined the team shortly after starting. And then he was with the team for a while, left the team, been on his own for like 3 years. Last year he topped the office for single agents at Remax Little Oak. Which is actually, you know, I see the numbers, but I'm going to tell you, the number 2 guy wasn't even close to Andrew. The number 2 guy doesn't even know that. The number 2 guy thinks, you know, I might have been close to Andrew's numbers. He wasn't even close in terms of commissions paid out. So Andrew's going to share a number of things with us, and probably one of the things at the end you'll realize that, you know, if you put your mind to it, you can do the business. And it's a great business. You can do incredible, you know, things with the business. So without further ado, help me welcome, give him a sorry welcome, Andrew Bracewell.
Thank you, Ray. So, wow, we got some more people coming in. Who do we, I found out this morning, about 20 minutes before I got here, that I'm not only talking to realtors this morning. Is that true? Mm-hmm. Is there people who are around real estate? So what's your name and what do you do?
I'm a commercial market broker.
Commercial
mortgage broker.
Market broker. Okay. Can you put that in English for me, or what is that?
Commercial mortgage broker.
Oh, mortgage broker. I'm sorry, Seth. You said market broker. Okay, so you're very, very similar to what we do. Anybody else not real estate?
I'm a real estate staging designer.
Oh, okay.
Home stager.
Okay. Okay. Well, I will do my best to massage my stuff to have it make sense for your life as well as ours.
Oh, it will apply. It
will apply. Okay, good. Well, so Ray gave you a little bit of intro. I'll repeat some of that and expand on a little bit as well. Licensed with Remax Little Oak since 2003. From 2004 to 2009, I worked in a team setting. Very, very successful team. A number of years running, we were amongst the top 3 or 5 in the entire country of all Remax teams. We had a great market that we were working in, obviously, and there was one particular year where 3 agents, you know, the leader and myself and one other guy, we did 450 transactions in 1 year. So we were very, very busy, and I learned a lot through that experience and everything that came with it. Then in 2010, I made the transition, actually late 2009, late 2010, and I've been working on my own since. So I've had 3 years doing it on my own, and market obviously changed a little bit in that time, and new challenges came, but I've been fortunate enough to actually, whether I've been on the team or on my own in my entire career, every year I've been amongst the top 1% in the Fraser Valley, whether that under team stats or individual stats. As Ray mentioned, I've been fortunate enough to be the top guy at Little Oak and Abbotsford, and I actually got to I was in the top 100 agents of Remax individual agents of Remax last year, so that was a pretty cool achievement. I was like 94th or something like that, so it's not like I was 10th or 12th or whatever, but that was pretty cool. I'm a Remax Hall of Fame recipient. What that means in English is I've made $1 million or more. I'm actually probably pretty close to, what's the next one, Circle of Legends or something like that?
The next one's Lifetime Achievement.
Lifetime Achievement. It's like 3 million.
Years.
I think I'll hit 3 million. I'm close to 3 million. I'm right kind of on the bubble. So I've made some money, and I like that. That's one of the reasons why I do what I do. Something cool that I've accomplished, which I think is, we're going to talk about this a little bit more today later on, but it's very, very rare in our industry, and I know this because I'm connected across the country, and I actually have a coach who's from Toronto, and he's coached other agents as well, and this is it. I have a 17% ROI on my business base. Some of you might call it a database. So put that in English, you got 200 people in your database. You are guaranteed 34 transactions out of your database just by the systems you've created and the business that you run. That is, of all of my accomplishments, of everything I've done, that is by far the most valuable thing that I have. And we'll get into that a little bit later and why that is. It's also one of the most difficult things to accomplish. It's not easy to do. Just to give you some perspectives on those numbers, the high watermark in the industry across the country, I don't know about the US, I'm sure it's similar, but in Canada, the high watermark, the best guys in the country are at about 20%. There's a guy in our office in Abbotsford, he floats around 20%. Some of you guys know him, Larry Siebert. He's the best at running his business in such a way where everybody who works with him becomes a believer in what he does, and they create business for him on a regular basis. Average though, most people maybe many of you in the room, you would maybe be 5, 6, 7% ROI. A lot of people will say 10, but they're not 10. If you actually measure the numbers, there's no way you're at 10. Anybody can be 4 or 5. It takes a little bit of work to get to 7 or 8, and then beyond 7 or 8, if you're not running your business with a particular philosophy, you will not climb past 7 or 8%. It is just absolutely impossible, and we'll discuss that a little bit today. I'm married for 9 years, as long as I've been in real estate, to an incredible woman by the name of Kristen, very understanding. I have 3 children, Jada, Malachi, and Ebony, 5, 3, and 1. So when I started this business, I was newly married, no kids, could pour every single hour of my life into what I did, and that's no longer the case. So I've had to adapt a little bit and learn how to make my time more valuable, because I can't put the same amount of hours in that I used to. I love to golf, drink, or eat anything rare and expensive. So if you got a nice bottle of scotch or an expensive bottle of wine, or you want to go out for an incredibly stupidly expensive dinner, I'm all over that. And I love reading philosophy, history, and theology. And a lot of, I guess I'm fortunate that I love to learn, I love to read, but that has played a huge role in my growth and my development and the success that I've attained in this business. So if you can imagine, if you hate to read or if you don't like to learn, then it's probably a little bit more like pulling teeth. But those have become huge catalysts in my success. And if I could be anybody today, any modern day person, if I could be somebody other than myself, I would be Malcolm Gladwell. You guys know who that is? I love to, real estate is just it's a medium by which I can do what I'm really, really passionate about. I can do a lot of things. I can do real estate, I could be a mortgage broker, I can be a financial advisor. I mean, I just like to bring positive change and impact into people's lives. As you'll learn today, I rarely run out of words, and I can continue to talk and talk and talk. And I just like to see how my presence brings change into people's lives. So I love Malcolm Gladwell because in terms of modern day people, I mean, he has literally brought ideas and philosophies into our culture in the last 10 years that I think are completely different than we've read from anybody else in a long, long time. So if I could be anybody, I'd be Malcolm Gladwell. Okay, before we get going, I want to do one thing with you guys. So we got a variety of people in the room today, and I've got, I've planned my assault on your brains here. I have my own strategy for what I want to talk about, but I want to write down a few. I don't know. Maybe you got some questions, some thoughts, some things that you would like me to hit on, and then as I go, I can make sure I steer things in that direction to try to hit on a few of those. So, does anybody have any, is there anything in your business that you'd say, hey, I'd like to talk about this, or I have a question about this?
You mentioned philosophy.
Yep.
I'd like you to hit on that.
Okay, so what's your name?
Dennis.
Dennis. Is that two N's, Dennis?
It is.
So you want to know how philosophy impacts your career, or what do you want to know?
I want to know how it has impacted your career.
How philosophy has impacted Andrew's career, okay? Has impacted Andrew's career, okay? You have another one?
How about running a successful business, work-life balance?
Good one. Okay, Kurt. I suck at spelling, so I'm going to make spelling errors and whatever, you can deal with it. Successful business, work-life balance, okay? Give me a couple more if there's...
Systems that you use to handle the workload?
Bob? Systems that I use to handle the workload, okay? So you're not talking about systems to create, you're saying like, holy shit, I'm overwhelmed. What can I do to
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Just to serve your clients better.
Can you put the create in there as well? Touch on that as well?
Sure.
Create and
Yeah.
Because I'm getting 17% ROI. Like,
Yeah.
How did you get to 17%?
I fluked. Okay, one more. Let's do one more.
How did you get past your ceiling?
My ceiling. I haven't hit it yet.
Your first one.
My first ceiling. Okay, that's it. I'm gonna have to think about that one. That was what's your name again?
SUA.
How do I spell that?
SUA.
SUA. I apologize if I don't say it correctly, Sua.
That's fine.
How did I get past? Okay, so I hit my first ceiling and my first roadblock. How did I get past that? Okay, I got you. How did?
So, Andrew, why did you go out of a team back to an individual setting? And then what would you do if you, like, I just started in this business.
Yeah.
So what would you do as just started without having gone into a team to get traction?
Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. You guys maybe got, I don't know, a couple weeks ago Rebecca said, tell me what you're talking about. I need to know what you're gonna talk about. And I quickly whipped off some stuff that I saw she sent out. And one of the things, I said I was gonna talk about, holy cow, a lot more people showed up. Hi.
Hi.
What's that? You want me to talk louder?
Yeah.
Okay. So I sent out I don't know, like a little outline. And one of the things on that outline was I said I would discuss, should I work on a team, should I work as an individual? I realize that that's a burning question in a lot of people's minds. So we will hit on that. I think probably the best way to hit on that is in the Q&A session that Ray and I will do together, because that's a big topic, and I'd like to nail it, but rather than just touch it for a minute, we might need to spend 10 minutes on that. So I will hit the team thing for sure. Okay, good. We'll start with that. So the story of my career. So I thought, geez, what am I going to do today that's going to be worthwhile for you guys and fun for me? I structure it like this. So I've been doing this for 9 years, and along the way, I've hit crucible moments in my career or roadblocks where I'm forced to make a decision. You hit these, maybe it's a ceiling, Sua, where you hit a moment, you go, okay, I got to change the way I think, or I got to become something that I'm not today. And so for the purpose of our time today, I've picked 3 of those crucible moments. There's more than 3, but I picked 3 for my life and my career. They were really big. And then we're going to go through them chronologically. So, the first one we're going to discuss happened in my earlier years. The second one was kind of more in my mid years, and the third one was, fairly recently in the last few years. So the first one was this: will I be a person of discipline? Write this down. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. Somebody much smarter than me actually came up with that quote. Those aren't my words, but I read them years ago and I never forgot them. And secondly, write this down. We must all suffer one of two things: the pain of discipline or the pain of regret and disappointment. We must all suffer one of two things: the pain of discipline or the pain of regret and disappointment. So here's the first thing. Okay, you got that? Am I going too fast? If I need to slow, I can slow down. I want you guys to get. So the first one was discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. The second one was we must all suffer one of two things: the pain of discipline or the pain of regret and disappointment. So I'm 22 years old. It's 2003. I've just come off of a couple different jobs and careers. I'm newly married, and my entire life I've had to punch a clock and show up because the man says I got to show up and I got to leave at a certain time. And the first thing I learned was that nobody gives a shit if I show up late or leave early. Nobody. And in that moment, I learned that disciplining myself, was going to become critical if I was going to experience any kind of success. I could look around and see those that were doing what I was doing and they weren't disciplined, and it was quite obvious they weren't achieving results. And then I could look at the other examples around me. I was fortunate enough to have guys like Ray and other people who kind of came alongside and said, you got to do it this way and you got to do this. And so, I learned quickly that discipline was going to be massive in the success of my career. Now, it's really easy just to we say that, great, we move on. Well, what are disciplines? I break them down into two different categories. We've got to be disciplined in our business. And then we've also got to be disciplined in our lifestyle. So we've got lifestyle disciplines and business disciplines. So we're just going to make a little... So when I started, and I realize not all of you are young, some of you are at different places in your career, but when I started, all I had was my time. I didn't know anything. I didn't have the skills, I didn't have the knowledge, I didn't have the ability. All I had was the ability to say, okay, I'm all in. So me disciplining myself at that time in my career was, I committed to showing up every day, no later than 7 a.m. And there was a lot of days when I was starting at 5:30 or 6. And I realized, now for my career now, this is no longer sustainable. But remember, we're going through, in order what I experienced. Because I didn't have any experience. I was 22 years old. I had no life experience. I didn't even own a property myself, and I'm trying to sell properties to people. So, the first thing I did is I disciplined my time. And the way I disciplined my time is I said, nobody's going to beat me to the office. Nobody. Not even the guy that I was working for. And if necessary, nobody will leave the office later than me. Now, this is not a sustainable discipline. So I'm not saying this to you because this is the way you need to run your life long term. But there is a time and a season for everything. And in that season in my life, that's all I had. I wasn't going to be able to outsmart somebody, wasn't going to be able to out-negotiate anybody, wasn't going to be able to outthink anybody. But what I could do is I could outwork. So in that season, I immediately disciplined my time and was determined that nobody was going to put more time in than me. Now, as things went along, I gained experiences and I become a little bit smarter and read some things and invest in myself. I started to realize that, holy cow, it's not only about the business. I have to be disciplined in my lifestyle. Because what we'll discuss a little bit later today, we're going to talk about philosophy, and we're going to talk about the fact that you can have the greatest philosophy in the world, but if the disciplines in your business and the disciplines in your lifestyle are not congruent with your philosophy, it doesn't mean anything. You can write down all the things you want. You can go to all the seminars. You can be as motivated. We can friggin' walk on fire like Tony Robbins. It doesn't mean shit if our business philosophy and our lifestyle philosophy if our business disciplines and our lifestyle disciplines are not congruent with our life philosophy. They have to all be speaking the same language. If they're not, you're done. So, first thing, I disciplined my time, but that was the basic. Then I started to realize that there's value, or there's a difference between time discipline and brain discipline. There's a lot of people back then that couldn't outwork me, but they were way smarter than me. In 2003, I may have been coming to the office more and longer than Ray, but you put me up against him in a listing situation or a negotiation, he was gonna spank me every time, right? But that's all I had. But then I started to see that, okay, wow, I've got to now discipline my mind. I've got to discipline my lifestyle. I have to put things in place so that I become more than I am today. Why? Because I can't sustain working from 7 a.m. until 9 p.m. at night. I can't do this. This is a seasonal thing. And the only way to get out of it is I've got to become more valuable and better at what I do so that I can make my time better and I don't have to work 12, 14, 15 hours a day. I can accomplish more in 7, 8, 9 hours a day. Once I had the basic discipline of time mastered, I was then able to get to work on disciplining my mind. So, I had things come in steps, right? I'll say that again. Once I had the basic discipline of time mastered, I was then able to get to work on disciplining my mind. So I had, you got to go in steps, and I had to first. It took me months just to, get into habits, right? Habits take time to create, and once I had that nailed, and that was no longer a challenge for me, and it was just, it was common practice for me to be there early and show up late. Now I had the ability to go, okay, how do I go on and improve my mind and improve myself and discipline my lifestyle as well as my business. The irony is this, is that as my mind got sharper and my skills increased, I was able to work less hours because I could accomplish so much more with my new skills. You get that?
One more time.
The irony is this, is that as my mind got sharper and my skills increased, I was able to work less hours because I could accomplish so much more with my new skills. Still a little aside here, when you get into this, or not just when you get into this industry, as you put the years and time in, we're just inundated with, the new, the new fad, the new marketing piece, this is what's going to take your business to the next level. We're going to, you're going to go to a RE/MAX conference in February, and there's going to be all kinds of vendors there trying to sell you something that, apparently is going to increase your business and make your business better. And all of these things can be good when taken with the right mindset. We've got to understand that the first and most important asset you have is you. It's not your database management system, it's not your marketing strategy, it's not the flyers that you send out. Those things are all good, and I do all of those things. But all of those come from and must pass through my philosophy. Nothing gets approved in my business plan unless it is congruent and aligns with everything that I believe, right? And then the problem with, most agents today, not even just most agents, most businesses, is that they don't even have the philosophy, right? So they're just victim to the next great idea or the next tide that comes along, and they're looking for answers, and they're just going, oh, I'll try that, I'll try that, I'll try that. And they haven't started from the basic the basic fundamentals of establishing a philosophy and then establishing these disciplines within your business and these disciplines within your lifestyle. So here's what I did. When I was probably, I would say it took me a year in the business. I was a young guy doing what I was told, trying to get as much done as I could. And fortunately, I was in a good real estate market, cutting my teeth. Which I feel sorry for you, Matt. Starting in because this is tough. This is tough slugging right now, getting deals done. And I really believe that starting today, being in your shoes, you're actually going to be way better off than I was, because I was allowed to have poor disciplines or poor habits, and they get masked over by this great market where you make deals if you have a friggin' pulse and 4 limbs. But you can't do that today, right? So about a year in, I'd settled in. I kind of looked around, decided who I did want to be like, who I didn't want to be like, and here was my discipline. This is the thing that I had a few, but here was the one that was this was the pillar of who I was going to be. It was this: I will do whatever it takes to be among the best at influencing and understanding people. As well, I will become a better negotiator than any of my clients or my competitors. I'll say that one more time. I will do whatever it takes to be among the best at influencing and understanding people. As well, I will become a better negotiator than any of my clients or competitors. Now, how did I do that? Obviously, to some degree, it's worked. I'm here and I have like 25 people listening to me. I don't have any degree, so. Here's what I did, and I owe the man at the back of the room much respect and admiration for this. The only way I was going to be able to accomplish that is the discipline that I created. As I said, I'm going to be a student. I'm going to put myself through university on my own time, in my bed, before I fall asleep at night, before I go to work in the morning, and I'm going to read more and watch more seminars and listen to more CDs and DVDs than anybody else that I know. And it sounds cliche, because I know that there's always these new guys out promoting this crap, and there's lots of people who oh yeah, I got that CD, I listen to that in my car, but they don't apply it. I know tons of people who have the same books that I have, they have the same CDs, but there's a difference, and I can see it. So when I say this, it's not enough to go and buy the books or buy the seminars or get the DVDs. You actually have to take the shit that you read and then put it into your life. Like you got to say, okay, I read this, I learned this, now I'm actually going to do this. I was sharing with some of the guys earlier today. I just 5 years ago, I hired a trainer, amazing trainer, like body trainer, like physical, workout. I know I don't look like a big guy, but I hired a guy 5 years ago. I was 22 pounds at the time, about 212 today. He took me to 190 with 10 pounds of muscle gain in 90 days. He has clients all the time that come into his program, and they don't achieve nearly the results that I achieved in 90 days. And there's one reason why. I did exactly what the frickin' guy told me to do. Like, he said, eat this, okay, I eat that. He said, lift this, okay, I lift that. And I did not break from his plan. Now, I did the 90 days, and life goes on. I have kids, I get fat again, I stop working out, and here we are. But I'm going back to him. But so the point is that there's all kinds of incredible information out there in the world, right? We have it right at our fingertips, and so few actually take it and then actually use it. It's all there. And so if I can take credit for anything, like, I'm a normal guy. I screw up all the time. Frick, ask my wife. If she was here, she'd be rolling her eyes listening to me because she knows I'm not this good. But if I can take credit for anything, it's that I actually applied some of what I learned. Maybe not all, but I actually applied it. So My discipline was I bought the books. You should see my library today. I mean, I have hundreds of books. I have tons of CDs. When I'm standing here in front of you today talking, none of this is my idea. I've read this and taken this from other great people who've come before me. I've applied it in my own life. I've put my own twist on it so that it makes sense for my business. And then I get to take credit for it. It's unbelievable. You know? Yeah, question.
Could you tell us your top 5 books that you recommend?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Actually, you know what? I'm going to bring them today, and then I'm going to pass them around so you can look at them. So we're going to talk at great length about one of them. And the author's name is Simon Sinek, S-I-M-O-N. S-I-N, why are you laughing?
Spelling.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe you didn't like Simon. I was going to have a problem with you right there. S-I-N-E-K is the last name, Simon Sinek. He wrote a book called Start With Why. And I'll tell you, we're going to get into philosophy. There's not a better book for that specific topic. There's a lot of other great books, but that book is phenomenal. Dale Carnegie wrote a book. I mean, this is an old book. He wrote a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People. And that book changed my life, because when I decided that I was going to be better with people than any of my competition, I mean, I needed to know how to do that. And that book, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, I mean, that's a phenomenal book. Greatest Salesman in the World, Og Mandino. I can keep rattling. I want to keep rattling off here.
By the way, do you have handout literature? Did you make them?
No, I suck at
lazy
that.
realtor.
I suck at that kind of stuff. Oh, we have a lazy realtor in the crowd today. Unbelievable.
Oh, we only got one?
Yeah, no, you're going to actually have to do some work. You don't get everything just handed to you. I don't know. There's a few books. I mean, if you want to know my list of books, send me an email. I can email you a ton. But the point is that I needed to put myself to school, and that is what I did to do it. And I can say now, I can look back on 9 years. I look at my library. I look at the things that I put into my brain, and it's really cool. I can see the processes I've gone through over 9 years. What I've read back 7 years ago that I thought was so unbelievable, and then I reread that book and I go, oh yeah, okay, it's interesting, but I've changed. I've grown. I maybe don't adhere to those things so much. I've got new information. I've got new knowledge today that makes me better. So there's our business disciplines. I didn't write anything down for you here, but we'll get into lifestyle right now. So I get through my first, let's say 2-3 years of real estate. I'm still alive. I made 48 sales in my first year of real estate. I made 57 in my second year of real estate. Made 114 grand. I was with a team, right? So you don't keep all your money. I probably generated $250,000 or more of revenue, but I made 114 grand of my money. Made 160 in my second year, and then almost hit 200 in my third year. It was when I got to probably my third year that I started to realize, okay, it's great that I'm disciplined in my business, but I've now got to also be disciplined in my lifestyle. And I'd started to do that a little bit, right? Because I'd obviously started to read and I was educating myself. But it's really, really important, just as important that you're disciplined in your business as being disciplined in your lifestyle. And here's why. It's this funny thing, and I don't even know how to explain it. Maybe people that are smarter than me can do that. But if I say to myself, Andrew, you're going to work out 3 days a week, or you're going to follow a food regimen. You're going to eat healthy. You're not just going to eat whatever. You're not going to do fast food. You're not going to do this, or you're going to get involved in something. You're going to get involved in an organization, and you're going to commit this amount of time every week to that organization that has nothing to do with your business, right? These things all have nothing to do with your business. Well, what does that naturally do? That puts time constraints on your life, right? Because don't forget, back here, I was like in my early years, it was 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. I had no time for nothing. I saw my wife Friday, Saturday nights, and that's it. But I needed to grow. And the way to grow was I had to start to create some lifestyle disciplines that took back some of the time from my business. And here's why. It forced me to become better with my time in my business. When I said, okay, I'm going to start to do these things for my lifestyle to stay sane, remain balanced, not become an idiot realtor who can only talk about real estate and is one-dimensional and nobody wants to hang out with in a crowd. Like, I mean, you know, we see these people who are workaholics and it's all they have. So in order to guard against that, I needed some lifestyle disciplines that were completely outside of my business, but it actually made me better in my business because now I had less time. And as we all become more well-balanced and rounded and you know, just whatever, knowledgeable people, we become better at everything. We become better fathers, better brothers, sisters, co-workers. I mean, we just become better people. It's not a good thing to be so one-dimensional. So here's what I wanted to say. Mastering disciplines breeds confidence. Write this down. Mastering disciplines breeds confidence. So here's a little story. I have my daughter, Jada. She's 5 years old. She's wanted to ride a bike. Going back a few months ago, you know, she's wanted to ride a bike for a long, long time, right? Some of her friends started riding bikes, and she actually started to feel bad about herself that she couldn't ride a bike. So I watched as this little 5-year-old started to see other people around her, the determination started to grow, and she actually started to get a little bit pissed off. And she would go out every day with her bike and actually teach herself. Not even with me. Like, I tried to do that, you know, I'll hold the back and you go. She said, no, don't touch the bike. Leave me alone. I'm going to figure this out on my own. And about like 4 months ago, not 4 months ago, school starts in September. She goes to school in September. So this is just like a month ago. She goes to school, still doesn't know how to ride a bike, but gets to school, and what's going on, of course? A lot of the kids that she's going to school with ride bikes. And she's going, this is she just said, that's it. She's fed up. She comes home. I'm not even at home. Walks out in the backyard. Kristen, my wife, is cooking or doing something inside. Grabs her bike and teaches herself to ride her bike on her own. And all Kristen can hear is this: pedal, 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 crash. Pedal, 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 crash. Pedal, 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 crash. She stays out there for like an hour until and we have video of this. My wife got the iPad and kind of went behind the window and watched. 5-year-old falls, smacks her arms, smacks her legs, smacks her head, until she learns how to ride a bike on her own. Now, what did that do? Mastering disciplines breeds confidence. The moment she learns how to ride that bike, and she did, she rode on her own. She walks inside the home, what does she say? Mommy, 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 look what I can do, look what I can do. I come home that day, I can't even get the bags off me, and she's all over me, and her chest is out. She's brighter than a light bulb, and which you got to understand, a week earlier, anytime we brought up bike riding, she'd be like this, because she knew she couldn't do it, and her friends could do it, and it did the opposite of breeding confidence. It made her quiet, and she didn't want to talk about it. She felt stupid about herself. So here we have a 5-year-old who can teach us a basic principle of life. Mastering disciplines breeds confidence. Why do we have to be disciplined in our lifestyle? Because you become more confident in yourself. You understand that things that you set your mind to, goals that you achieve, you can do things. You say, hey, I'm gonna work out. I'm gonna hire a trainer. I'm gonna lose 20 pounds. You do that. What that does for you in your business as you're meeting with clients, and people are looking at you with fear, saying, Andrew, how are we gonna do this? I don't know if we can do this. You know you can, because in your lifestyle, you've accomplished a number of things by mastering disciplines, and it just breeds more and more confidence in everything you do. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. We need disciplines not only for the results we achieve. You might want to write this down. We need disciplines not only for the results we achieve, but also for what we become in the process. Okay? So it's not about the fact that Jada got to ride the bike. I mean, that's great. That's the end result. But what she became in the process was far more valuable than the end result of being able to ride the bike. Another gentleman who's 10 times smarter than me by the name of Jim Rohn said this: set a goal to become a millionaire. Not for the $1 million, but for what it will make of you to achieve it. process. What we get from the process and what we become as human beings is far more valuable than the end result we get, whether it's financial gain or a skill that we acquire. 10 times more valuable. Okay. How are we doing for time here?
It's 10:11.
What time do we start?
9:30.
Okay. I might need 20 minutes. Let's put that video on. But before we do, okay, so that was. Now we're going to get into my middle years. You know, so I've established some disciplines. You know, I'm maybe 3 or 4 years in, and you know, I'm doing pretty well. I'm selling homes. I'm one of the top guys. I look like I've got everything together. People look at me and they go, "Wow, who's this guy?" You know, he rolls in. He looks good. He talks good. He sounds good. He reads books. You know, all these things. But I was still floundering in an area. I had not set my philosophy. I maybe had some pretty good ideas, and I was mimicking other people around me who I liked and looked up to, so it may have appeared as though I had a philosophy, but I really didn't. And we're going to watch a video now that's going to kind of...
Pull the screen up.
Yeah. So we're going to watch this video for about 8 or 9 minutes. Simon Sinek, one of the books I talked about, he did a TED Talk. And we're going to watch about 8 or 9 minutes of this, and then I'll chat at you for a little bit more. Go for it.
So where do you start when you have a program that's about integrating life and profession? Well, you start with why.
You get the volume up?
Why? Yeah. And that kicks us off for the first speaker tonight, Simon Sinek, and his talk, Start with Why.
We assume even we know why we do what we do. But then how do you explain when things don't go as we assume? Or better, how do you explain when others are able to achieve things that seem to defy all of the assumptions? For example, why is Apple so innovative? Year after year after year after year, they're more innovative than all their competition. And yet they're just a computer company. They're just like everyone else. They have the same access to the same talent, the same agencies, the same consultants, the same media. Then why is it that they seem to have something different? Why is it that Martin Luther King led the civil rights movement? He wasn't the only man who suffered in the pre-civil rights America, and he certainly wasn't the only great orator of the day. Why him? And why is it that the Wright brothers were able to figure out controlled powered manned flight,